Stitch Roadies. I was missing you guys, and so I thought I would just stop in for a short visit. I hope everything's going well for you this month. It's been, busy for everybody, but I am very excited because I think tomorrow might be a stitch day at Acorns and Threads. So that's always something to look forward to. There's not a cloud in the sky. And the reason being is it is so windy that my next door neighbor came to the door and said, "Oh, this package was blowing down the street and it ended up in my yard." Yeah, that's how windy it is right now. And it is really cold, just biting cold. You don't even, I run to the mailbox because I feel like I'm going to freeze in place if I walk. So, yeah, but it's beautiful from when you're sitting inside looking out. It's beautiful. I have been doing, a bit of stitching. I don't know about you, but since there are so many celebrations and connections during the month of December, it's like what little control over I have of my brain goes out the window. And I knew, even G knew, I was supposed to be at a Zoom meeting with the Van Accessible Patreon group with Linda, and she was going to be showing the folded star, how to make a folded star out of fabric. And I kind of set my whole schedule up around that and then totally forgot it. And I was sitting in my stitching chair here and, kind of enjoying just a quiet stitch, and suddenly I went, oh my gosh, and it was almost over by the time I realized. But at least I got on to say hi to the Van Accessible friends. Yeah. It's like I have to check and double check my schedule every hour of a given day. Yeah. Well, things are moving along here, and we're just waiting on a service person to check our sump pump out. And, this is my first experience with the sump pump. And for those of you that don't know, it's like this pump that lives under your house, and it pumps any standing water away from it. We don't get too much because we're kind of at the top of the hill. We're like the second line of homes. The homes at the very top are bigger properties, and I guess all of that moisture runs to us, but not, it kind of just passes under us as it goes down the hill. But since I don't know anything about them, I decided it needed to be serviced because I couldn't hear it running. I don't know if you're supposed to hear it running. And I still am working along on my book, The Myth of Normal, and enjoying that very much. It's been educational and amazing in terms of how our physical well-being is so tied to our mental well-being, as most of us know, but I did not realize that they have correlated specific things in one's life, experiences in one's life, to actual physical diseases. So all of that stuff. G told me the other day that my name shouldn't be Anna, it should be analytical. And he's probably right. Because I can just chew on something 10 different ways trying to figure out what is the right, or what makes this tick? We had a lovely birthday with my daughter-in-law and her sisters and friend. They all came over for dinner, which was, it was lovely in terms of, I got to listen to them talk, and, it's way entirely different generation. G and I sat at the kids' table with our grandsons, but I don't know, just hearing them chatting and relaxing made me feel happy about life in general. We don't, at least I haven't had too many of those experiences where you get to watch from the outside and you see the joy in a group that's conversing with each other and kind of having a moment. And I tried a new recipe, and it's a vegan enchiladas. Vegan enchiladas. It didn't look pretty to me. It didn't look at all like the picture. But there was none left. So G says that's a good sign when there's none left. And I learned something new, which I will pass on to some of you who are tofu eaters. I did not know that you could freeze tofu. And when you freeze tofu, like you cut it up into little squares and chunks and you freeze it, all the air holes that are in tofu, the moisture freezes in there, and then as you use it, the moisture goes, and it makes it a little bit chewier, so it gives it a different texture. Some people don't like that silky, mushy texture of tofu. Of course, I love it, but I didn't have any idea that you could actually buy frozen tofu. But the recipe that I read said that you can freeze your own tofu. So I decided to try it, and I liked it. I mean, I wouldn't like it for everything because I like the silky, but it was delicious. It was really delicious. And so it was just a fun evening. And both my grandkids were feeling better. They had both had colds, and even though they were still coughing a bit, they were feeling better, and so there was a lot of laughter. And yeah, and then earlier in the day, my cousin came by and stopped and chatted and he brought me a almond milk latte from Starbucks. He's my favorite cousin. Yeah, oh, that was so good. It was so good. I have been stitching, just so you know, but today I just wanted to show you that I'm making a little gifts for some friends that I'm going to see, and I needed to make counting pins. Have you ever made... Now, I don't use counting pins. I don't. And this is what I understand counting pins are, is that when you count your holes over in a cross-stitch canvas, like if you want to do every 10 or every 20, then you put a pin so that you don't have to lose your place. You don't have to keep recounting and recounting. But I don't use counting pins because when I go across, I do a half cross, and every 10th one I do a full one, and then 10 more, and 9 more, and then a full one. So I don't really use counting pins. What I do use counting pins for is as a decoration for pin cushions. And so today I was working on my counting pins. Now I won't show you the front of this because I don't want the person to know this is for them. But here's a little cup, and I took some roving and I felted this ball for the pincushion part of it. And then I ran a bead of glue around the inside of the cup and pushed the ball in. I made it just a little bit bigger than the opening of the cup. And then I made those counting pins. And the way I make counting pins is I use clear tacky glue, and I just run a bead of glue along the barrel of the pin. And the pin I get from the craft store if they have them. They're in the corsage, not the corsage, yeah, it's like the corsage or flower area of the craft store. They're corsage pins. And or you can order them online, and they have different tops. Like these pins had just a little crystal top on it, and then I added these beads. And the way I do it is that I run, see, and I hold them upside down in another little cup. So this cup is full of these counting pins. So I run a little bit of my clear glue onto the pin, and it already has this head on it, and then I drop a bead on, and then I put a little bit more glue on the barrel, and then I drop another bead, and I do that until I'm satisfied with it, and then I stick it just like this in the cup to hold upside down while it dries. Look at this one. And it's so fun picking beads out at the craft store. Look at that. It's a mushroom. And look at this one. So these are drying, and then I'll stick them onto pin cushions. And when I buy beads, I buy these little plastic stackable canisters, and then I put the beads or the buttons in them, and they just lay in the drawer with the corsage pins. So those are it's not a hard, labor-intensive. In fact, I was watching a Netflix movie while I was making these pins. So it's not like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of work. No, it's pretty darn simple. And I broke my felting tool. So so this is not necessarily, there are several different kinds, but this was the one I broke, so this is the one I ordered again to do, to make my felting ball for the pin cushions. And they're just a fun little gift, you know. They're just a fun little gift. I was Christmas shopping, and at the mall, shopping at the mall is kind of a novel idea these days. You know, it's kind of interesting because I can remember as a teenager, the very first giant mall was opened in San Jose, California, and it was, it was like over an hour, 2-hour drive, like an hour and a half drive or something from where we lived to that mall. But it was like everybody wanted to go to this giant mall, and I was so overwhelmed visually. I was tired. It was just the lights, the activity was so overwhelming that I had a bloody nose when I was there. And so, mall shopping has never really been like, oh, I can't, like some teenagers like to go hang out at the mall. That was never me. Give me a little boutique shop without a lot of people, and that would be the one I would want. But not far from us is a big mall, and he wanted to take me Christmas shopping. It's so I think it's stressful for him that he can't get me exactly something wonderful surprise. He's so sweet, but it's like, you know, I really don't need anything. But I I had to go anyway to do some little bit of Christmas shopping, and I went to Barnes and Noble, and I noticed as I was standing in line to pay that there was a sign that said, if you're a Barnes and Noble member, which I had a membership card from a year ago, that you got a free journal if your purchase was over a certain amount. And it turned out my purchase was. So I said, do I get a free journal? And she said, oh, yes. Well, I'm in love with this journal. I used to know a nurse who kept track of every book that she read. I wish I had done that. I could probably fill a library with the amount of books I've read. So this is going to be interesting because here I'm on the downhill slide of life. How many books will I read in this on this bell curve? But I was excited because this is absolutely adorable. So look at this. My book journal. I absolutely love the cover. And inside, you write down the title, your reading log, and you write down the title, when you started it, when you finished it, what genre it was, main characters, the subject, and a little review of what you thought about the book. And in the back, I found this really fun. The best book lists. So the Modern Library, the 100 best novels. It makes me want to go through that whole list and read them. Pulitzer Prize for Fiction, all the lists for that in the year they were published. 1918. The Pulitzer Prize for Fiction was His Family by Ernest Poole. Now, wouldn't you like to find a copy of that and just kind of get a sense of what a Pulitzer Prize book in 1918 was like? Yeah. So I'm very much excited about this. I have in my mind what my word for the year is, but I'm not going to reveal it yet because I want to think about it. This is a channel about cross-stitch. So unfortunately, today's episode is more jibber-jabber than anything else. If you're new, thank you. Thank you for just hanging in a little while longer. I'll get to the cross-stitch. And if you are friends that have been here a while, you know that I eventually get to the cross-stitch. And so what have I been doing? Okay, first of all, let me just say, at the end, G is going to post who the winner of this lovely bag and this Lady Claus kit from the Fat Quarter Shop with all of that fabric is so amazing. You can't tell in the camera, but that fabric that's in there is sparkly. And the needle minder is absolutely adorable. So you'll see that at the end. I have very much enjoyed the comments about Lady Claus. We all agree that she deserves a lot more attention. So, let's see. The only two projects that I have been stitching on has been the trees. Thank you for all the cheering sections. And I am over halfway through that humongous tree. Oh my gosh. You know, the only thing positive about that tree is that if you make a mistake, no one's gonna know. No one's gonna know. That's the best part of this project. But stitching it here in the stitching chair has made all the difference in the world. And so I have been very much enjoying that. And then in the evening, when I retire to my bedroom stitching chair, I have been enjoying and am going to finish this year Luminous Fiber Arts. I love Misty Purcell. Her designs are so fun, and her floss tube is just very, very relaxing. And so it's this PDF download that I got, and it's done with Teddy Bear Belsois, Gathering Honey. And this is where I'm at. Yeah, we're making progress there. I think I'm going to turn it into a pillow, but I don't know yet. I don't know yet. My son and daughter-in-law, my younger son and daughter-in-law, were talking about Apple TV, and I kind of took the dive into Apple TV, and it has been so worth it. It's $6.99 a month for me, and already in the first week I've seen 3 or 4 things that I couldn't rent a movie for $6.99, so and you can cancel anytime you want. But one of the movies that I watched, made me cry. It was called Finch, and I am here to tell you Tom Hanks is by far the best actor in the world. And it sounds kind of, like, I'm not sure about that, but it's a post-apocalyptic, so the world has gone to hell in a handbasket. The ozone layer is gone for part of the earth, and it's about like an engineer guy who has survived in his little corner this apocalyptic event, and he has a dog, and so he builds a robot. And I know this sounds like, what? But he builds a robot to take care of his dog. It is worth the watch. Lovely, lovely movie. Absolutely lovely movie. And the other thing that I watched was, who doesn't love David Attenborough and his voice? And this documentary was called The Day When the Earth Stood Still. It was called When the Earth Stood Still. And it was about the effect of COVID on the earth and the animals of the earth. Things I didn't even think about. I mean, you hear about them like on the news, oh yeah, less smog in LA, that kind of thing. But you truly, the way they do this documentary, you truly realize how much impact humans have on the health of the earth and animals. And one segment totally blew me away, because it was this amateur photographer. His father was yelling. This is in India. His father is yelling for him to come up to the roof, come up to the roof. And so he goes up to the roof, and there's all these people standing on the roofs of their homes, and they're looking at the Himalayas. They hadn't seen them in 30 or 40 years because of the smog. And there they were in all their glory. Yeah. Pretty darn Pretty darn amazing. I have a bit of haul. I do have a bit of haul. What can I say? I saw these and I really wanted to get them because they kind of, they would make one, good gifts, two, the subject matter, and three, a quick stitch. But they are cross-stitch bookmarks. So they're bookmarks based on, I just picked two of them. They're based on Harry Potter themes, where you make a bookmark. So here they are. And they make great gifts too. But what I was surprised about is that they're actually designed and packaged in the Ukraine. We are a global economy. What happens in one spot affects the other spot. Yeah, if we could just learn that. And then the package that was blowing down the street to my neighbor's yard was something I had ordered from Kitten Stitcher. And the one pattern I ordered, it was a little bit difficult to find, was because, and I'm hoping I got the right one, Becca from Sambry Stitches' birthday is in January, and she's doing a birthday start stitch along, and she chose the pattern. I'm hoping I'm getting this all right. And it's not a big one, and it's at Brenda Gervais, so there's a win-win. Everything's a win. And it's called The Maker and Meander. The Maker and Meander. There we go. And so what that says, and it's not big, it's 178 wide by 128. It says, "The needle be it though so slim and slender, is both maker and a meander." No, both a maker and a mender. So it's the maker and the mender, not meander. That's what I do with my thoughts. The needle be it though so slim and slender, is both a maker and a mender. Oh, how lovely that is. So I'll be all ready for that January start. And then as I was looking online to find that, I found it at Kitten Stitcher, and naturally it couldn't travel alone, so it traveled with this. What is this? This is a kit. The Primitive Hare Cross-Stitch Collector. It was a Nashville exclusive chart from 2022. So the board will hold that. And since I am more of a cross-stitch collector than a cross-stitch finisher, I decided I needed that. That is so cute. I want to be hanging that up. Well, I think that might be it. Yeah, I'm looking all around at the little, little pig pen here. Well, thank you. Thank you for stopping by. I hope we see you again, and that everything is going well for you at home. I hope that 2023, let's make that a really good year. Love you guys. You take care.